Now things are to get wild. Elon Musk wants to check if the Department of Government Efficiency should use blockchain applications here to make things more efficient here. And the most important, well-known, and largest blockchain in the world is Bitcoin. Let's take a look at what that's all about. Is Bitcoin going to be part of the Department of Government Efficiency now? Super wild. Here, government spending is supposed to be more efficient, tracked. Also, right now on Fox News, they're spreading the rumor live on TV that there are countries in the Middle East that have actually already secretly stashed away Bitcoin, so they've built up a Bitcoin stockpile here. The US is currently considering building a Bitcoin stockpile or a crypto stockpile. And now it seems there are countries in the Middle East that have already done this and are ahead of the U.S. Middle East countries by Bitcoin, who have already done this here and have been at the forefront of the USA. So basically, countries are already secretly buying Bitcoin. Let's take a look at what that's all about. But first, let's take a look. Now, Elon Musk is known for that he's been holding Bitcoin at Tesla for a really long time and has been buying Bitcoin for a really long time. And now he wants to use all measures at the Department of Government Efficiency that can bring the US to a more efficient level. Now the news actually came out that he also wants to use blockchain applications for that. It says here at Bloomberg, Musk is exploring blockchain use in the US government efficiency effort. So they're just using the blockchain for that. And like I said, super important. The most important blockchain in the world is Bitcoin. And that also means that it might be checked here, whether they're using Bitcoin for the Department of Government Efficiency. Blockchain monitors spending. They exchange with multiple public blockchains so that they don't have excessively high government spending, so they're not just throwing too much money around. But it also means that you are essentially exchanging information with several blockchains, i.e. with several public blockchains. And they're evaluating several blockchain options here. To be completely honest, I'm not really sure about this. Are they even considering Bitcoin here? I mean, that would be the ideal. They're declaring the Bitcoin standard. You have a Bitcoin stockpile, and then you basically only trade in Bitcoin. Then theoretically, you wouldn't even have to do that, because with Bitcoin. So will government spending then be automatically tracked? So let's imagine we're on a Bitcoin standard, and there's only Bitcoin left. Publish addresses, see transactions transparently, boost national efficiency. Payments going out, payments coming in. And it's obviously something huge for a country's efficiency, because it can't just be the way it is anymore. That there are some shadow budgets or any shady dealings going on behind the scenes, where some weird money is flowing. But you can make it all public here with the Bitcoin blockchain. But the question is whether they really mean Bitcoin here or if they're going to end up using some other blockchain use cases instead. Because you have to be careful. Blockchain lacks use cases. Many projects sell that idea. It's always suggested here. There are always a ton of projects selling the idea. Yeah, we can do supply chain tracking on the blockchain and all that. But it's all nonsense because you always have an oracle problem. So if you put bananas on the blockchain, it sounds pretty cool at first. But again, you need a third party to confirm at the end that the banana actually still exists in the real world. If a third party is needed, why use blockchain? It means Bitcoin is the only relevant one. So if you have to bring a central entity into the mix, that means the only relevant blockchain that really exists here and the only relevant blockchain application that really exists here where it makes sense is Bitcoin. And now the question is whether Elon Musk gets it or not. If he doesn't get it, then it could definitely mean that they're messing around with some shitcoins. But if he does get it, then it could be the case. Bitcoin becomes part of the Department of Government Efficiency, although, as I said, I would still have question marks behind this. Because we haven't heard anything about Bitcoin here. We've only heard the word blockchain, just like in Donald Trump's crypto executive order. The word Bitcoin never comes up. It's always just the words crypto, digital assets, and so on. I don't know exactly what that's all about. But you really have to keep a close eye on this, because on top of that, Elon Musk is soon going to launch his X payment, so his new X payment platform. Some people have already speculated on it would make sense. Elon Musk is basically betting on freedom here. Here, he's basically betting on free speech with the community notes. He's already created such a cool tool here. And if he goes all the way here, he would have to actually implement Bitcoin payments here at X as well. just to further promote free speech, because Bitcoin is the only truly censorship-resistant network out there. And it's pretty much the same here in Germany. Department of Gov Efficiency. If Musk really stands by his values of freedom here, and if Musk really stands for a smaller government, for more efficient budgeting, and so on, then there is no way around Bitcoin. Bitcoin is also a tool that can basically minimize the state, because it essentially negates and nullifies the central money creation of a state, because Bitcoin operates without central money creation. That's the whole idea behind Bitcoin, to separate state and money. And actually, Bitcoin is the perfect tool for the Department of Government Efficiency. But as I mentioned, I really need to emphasize this, whether Elon Musk and the people here get it, or if they'll just come to a conclusion. Hey, no, we're just using some shitcoin variants again and letting ourselves get sold some scam here. I mean, there are also options like using stablecoins, for example, that might actually be an improvement over the US dollar, where you would have US dollars, which you can just track better. So that means, I don't know, you can discuss stablecoins, whether it's even a shitcoin, because there are definitely, let's say, certain applications to just spread the dollar. That's of course the moral question again, or let's say the karmic question of whether you can justify something like that. Because a stablecoin still means that you have a central bank here. A stablecoin still means that savers' money gets inflated, that there are chronic inflations and so on. But with stablecoins, for example, you could already set up the whole state budget stuff more efficiently if you could just publicly verify everything exactly. Okay, where is the money coming from and where is it going? And then maybe not so much money would be wasted here. So we'll just have to wait and see whether they're betting on shitcoins here, or if they're betting on stablecoins, or if they're betting on Bitcoin here. And then we actually had a highly relevant interview here, and that was live on Fox Business here. And here, Dylan LeClaire was a guest. And he was talking about something that a lot of people actually suspect secretly. They're suspecting. A lot of people are speculating that there are already countries in the background that have built up large Bitcoin reservoirs without the public being aware of it. By the way, totally forgot to show this. Of course, I'm back in my cool Bitcoin cave here. With this awesome view, people have already commented that it looks like the Windows 10 screen. What do you call it? The screensaver, right? I actually have the Windows screensaver right in front of me in my cool cave, for sure. Now we want to take a look at the massive statements from the declared live TV to see if it could really be true. That even in the Middle East, people are starting to secretly engage in Bitcoin stacking. The part about the secret Bitcoin purchases comes at the end. Let's take a look at the other statements from him. They're talking about CP 1-2-1 regulation and how this is going to pump the price up.
I got to start with this SAB 121. I never really knew about it, but it seems really like it was a critical part of really slowing down the advancement.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Charles. Happy New Year. It's been an amazing first few days of the Trump presidency for Bitcoin, for digital assets broadly. SAP 121 is a massive deal. I think a lot of people are kind of in the camp of not really knowing what it was even. It sounds complicated, just the name, but essentially, if you were to design a rule or regulation to basically inhibit or cripple the asset class from the traditional, financial world, this is what it would be, right? Essentially, anytime a bank would have to custody Bitcoin on behalf of their clients, not for themselves, they'd have to hold, if you wanted to hold $100 of the bank, they would have to hold $100 of cash to insure against that, right? So it's you don't see this with stocks or any other asset class. So it was really designed to not let the banks and the traditional, financial institutions enter the space.
Right.
So I think we're kind of in a similar spot to where, the ETFs rolled out and people said, is this priced in? Is this not priced in? For me, it's quite clear, right? You can't price in billions, tens of billions of flows into the asset that haven't materialized yet.
Clear that you haven't materialized trillions, tens of trillions, flowing into an asset. Just like back then, the Bitcoin ETF wasn't priced in before it got approved. And just like many people assume that the strategic Bitcoin reserve isn't priced in yet either. Just like back then, the Bitcoin ETF wasn't priced in before it got approved. And just like many people assume, the strategic Bitcoin reserve isn't priced in yet either. Adam Beck keeps talking about how there's currently an information asymmetry with Bitcoin. So all the things that are happening in the background, like for example, that BlackRock has been working on in-kind ETFs here, that in-kind ETFs might be coming soon. CP 121 regulation, that's now being leveraged. That's going to happen. Here we have a Bitcoin stash coming. These are all things that aren't priced in here. And Dylan Declare points that out clearly here. Or rather, he's stating the ZP 1.2.1 regulation. But that is the big advantage. When suddenly banks start using Bitcoin as collateral, when you no longer have to back Bitcoin one-to-one with cash money, 100,000 backed, US dollars worth times 100,000 US, you'd have to put somewhere behind it. That won't be the case. And then it becomes intriguing for banks to hold Bitcoin here. All gets a whole lot easier. Then a Bitcoin loan offering will be created. And that's also what Michael Saylor said. What's missing here as the last step from the $5 million Bitcoin price is that we have fair value accounting, that we have Bitcoin ETFs. We've already got both of those. And now we need Bitcoin credit loans. And for that, we need the SEP 1-2-1 regulation that's being put in place. And that's why it's the ultimate price catalyst. About Dylan Leclerc. Here we're talking about something few people are aware of. And you have to pay close attention now. You know what's going on. Most people have no clue. What's happening in the background here? That CBDCs are banned here in the USA. The CP 121 regulation is being overridden and is now even being evaluated. We're talking about building a crypto or Bitcoin stock part. And now we really get to the super relevant part where you need to listen closely. Why now there might be. States are starting to buy Bitcoin here. All of this is happening unofficially.
Just on and on and on. I think it shows that this administration is really taking this stuff seriously.
Yeah, indeed. I think that, there's a 6-month period here to evaluate whether, a strategic Bitcoin reserve or I guess broadly digital assets is something the U.S. wants to do. And that would follow in the footsteps of Bhutan, El Salvador. And there are rumors of multiple Middle Eastern countries in the last, say, quarter establishing a quite meaningful stockpile of Bitcoin. So, I think if the U.S. wants to remain dominant and, its world reserve currency status with open capital markets, embracing Bitcoin as an asset class and on the regulatory level is something that absolutely they should do. And that's what the administration is doing.
Clearly, if the U.S. wants to remain a relevant player internationally here, then you need to build up the Bitcoin stockpile here. And he also says here that in the last quarter, there have been several rumors that multiple countries in the Middle East, not just one country, but several countries have started to buy Bitcoin here. On one side, there were rumors from Saicidas that the United Arab Emirates has already bought 400,000, has bought Bitcoin. He announced that at the men's conference, basically. I mean, that would definitely make sense. There are also ongoing rumors that the Saudis have basically done something similar. Then there was the Qatari sovereign fund once about that there was a rumor like that. 600 billion in Bitcoin or 500 billion, such an unrealistically high amount. Those are also exaggerated numbers that are being thrown around here. Bitcoin at 600 billion, so on. You really don't know anything for sure, but it would definitely make sense. In my view, it's more likely some Middle Eastern states have bought Bitcoin than none. Plus, there's the evaluation Dylan Leclerc discusses. It's probably higher than the chance that no one here has bought Bitcoin. And additionally, there's also the evaluation that Dylan Leclerc is talking about. Like what's happening in the USA can happen in other countries. That's clear. There's no question about that. The question is, who will be the first? Is it coming to the USA? Is the Bitcoin reserve? Dylan Leclerc made it clear that we need a Bitcoin reserve because the strength of the US dollar depends on it. Here's the further success of the USA. That end is a really important point, and that's important to take away. But feel free to drop a comment down below, how you see it, whether you can go along with Dylan Leclerc or if you say, hey, no, this is all nonsense. None of that is happening, and it's all just rumors if you're talking about Mo's right now. And now here's a link to 21 Bitcoin, where you can easily buy Bitcoin safely. It's really super simple, suitable for beginners and pros alike, all kinds of people, even your grandma. With the code Bitcoin Hotel, you can get up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin. And I'll also put a link to a dresser. A hardware wallet is the easiest way to secure your Bitcoin with the highest level of protection. on a hardware wallet like a Dresser here, where you're independent from the exchange, free from any third parties, and where you can't get hacked anymore. Open source is definitely highly recommended here. Here you can get Bitcoin with the code in lowercase, also 10% when you buy with such an address. I'll also include a link down below for you. See you then. Greetings here. Show cool one. See you later. Peace out.